Hello, my name is Lawrence, and I'm going to be talking you through this brief tutorial on how to use the available insights within the Shopper Mogul simulation. So, as with all other parts of the simulation, the insights are available through your web browser. You can access them either from the landing page, from the big Review Market Insights button, or from anywhere in the simulation. You have this button in the header that you can use to jump straight to them. Now, a couple of things to clarify before we dive into them. So insights in the Shopper Mogul world are something that you have to invest in. The first time you or someone from your company visits this page, you're going to see something that looks like this, with all of the different insight options locked. Now, you can unlock them by clicking on them and choosing to purchase them. You can either buy them one at a time, or you can buy a full insights package that unlocks all of the insights. When you buy insights in Shopper Mogul, you're not buying static information. You're buying access to what you could imagine as a range of syndicated insights packages. You're purchasing access to them for the next 12 months of game time. So during that time, all the insights in this game get updated on a monthly basis. So you're getting 12 months worth of insights in addition to the initial insights. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to go ahead and purchase the full insights package, at which point everything becomes green and becomes available. One area is not available, that's the loyalty card data. That's something which would only be unlocked by your facilitator potentially later in the simulation. The loyalty card data basically gives you access to raw data which you can download in Excel and analyze by yourself. So, as you can see, there are 7 different types of insights immediately available to you. Consumer segmentation, brand scorecard, media insights, shopper segmentation, category insights, retail, and competitor insights. Now, each of these has a use to different members of your management team, but they're all important to understand as you're making that sequence of strategic decisions on how best to spend your company's money and how to build a portfolio of brands to meet the requirements of the consumers in the marketplace. So first up, let's have a look at the consumer segmentation. Now, again, every game has a degree of randomness to it, so your starting position won't look exactly like this. Now, in this game, what we can see on the left is, in all games, you will see on the left a consumer segmentation study, and on the right, a breakdown of brand positionings. And these two are shown next to each other because it's obviously useful to see the data superimposed on top of each other. So the consumer segmentation breaks down where the demand is within the game against different consumer expectations. So broadly speaking, we can see in this game there are 4 different consumer types which are identified. The largest grouping of these at this point in the game appears to be survivors, which are these red bubbles down in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Now, what this map on top of us is showing is where this demand is coming from compared to the expectations of shoppers, either for the stylishness of the brands they're buying or the quality of the brands they're buying. So if we look at this largest single bubble on the map, we can see that 15% of all purchases at the moment in the game are coming from people who we categorize as survivors, who have an expectation that a brand should have a stylishness of at least 2 out of 10, which is to say not very high expectations, and also an expectation that the brand should have a quality of at least 2 out of 10, which is to say, again, fairly low expectations. Now, there is a scattering, even within survivors, there is a scattering of data within the chart. So what this is showing you is really where, at the moment, the majority of the demand in the market is coming from. Now, I'm going to stress that phrase "at the moment" because all of the charts in Shopper Mogul are only reflecting the purchase decisions that are currently being made. Now, the fact that there are no purchases going on right up in the top right-hand corner may be because there are no consumers there. There are no consumers that require that, but it could also be that there are consumers there, they're just not buying anything because there's no products available that meet their requirements. Now, over on the right-hand side, what we see is the positioning of the different brands in the market. So for each of the brands, you can see that they are positioned similarly to how we just described the consumer expectations. Every brand has a style offering and a quality offering. Now, the quality is quite clear. Every brand has a quality rating between 1 and 10. The higher the number, the higher the quality of the brand, and also the more expensive it'll be to create. The stylishness is slightly different, and again, it's on a scale between 1 and 10, and broadly speaking, 10 is more expensive than 1 because it is more expensive to maintain a stylish brand. But the difference is that whereas for quality, higher is always better in the mind of consumers, in terms of style, it is actually important to be within the area that consumers are looking for. So as we can see, brands that have a stylishness of less than 5, we categorize as conformational brands. These are typically the brands that talk about where I'm coming from, who I am. They're not brands that are about showing off, they're brands that are about saying, I'm proud of who I am. On the right, the brands with stylishness above 5, these are the ones that we categorize as aspirational brands. So these are the more bling bling, show off, I want to look like this. So if you imagine car brands, you could imagine, say, a brand like Porsche or BMW would very much be on the right. This is a brand that people drive because they want other people to think that they are like that. They aspire to be like that. Whereas on the left, we have brands possibly more like Volkswagen or Volvo, which may also be very good quality brands, but they're not seeking to be status symbols. They're rather selling themselves on the quality of the brand or the heritage of the brand. Now, I'm not going to get too philosophical about this, but all of these charts you can also drill into for the specific categories that you're interested in. So if I'm only interested in beer, I can click on beer and it'll filter just the brands in the beer world. And on the left, we can see similarly the consumer segmentation data is also filtered to just show me the responses of shoppers who buy beer. Now, this information is very important if you're the marketing director in terms of your decisions about how to position your brands. It's also important for other members of your team as well, though. Your sales director is responsible for having brands in the right place. So understanding what type of consumers may be drinking your product and therefore where they're going to be shopping, it's important not just for the marketing director, but also sales and other members of your management team. So working our way across, the next area we've got is brand scorecards. Now, brand scorecards are something that consumer goods companies spend a lot of time looking at in the real world. Now, the two parts of the survey that you're getting access to is on the left-hand side, you get a consumer funnel for your brands. On the right, you can see there's some research about, at a qualitative level, how different groups of consumers feel about specific aspects of your brand. So all of these are divable not just by category, but also by consumer type. So we can see this first one that's come up, it's focused on beer and aficionados. So aficionados are consumers that are particularly focused on quality of product, quality and heritage. So what does this chart show us? Well, it gives us a funnel that takes us from awareness on the left, so what percentage of people have ever heard of our brand, through to those who say they would actually consider drinking it, And of those, who has actually tried it? And finally, which consumers actually say this is their main brand, or at least a brand that's within their repertoire of regularly drunk products. Over on the right, this information is really useful to understand the would consider box. So consumers are asked specifically 4 different questions. Is this a brand that you can find easily in the marketplace? Do you think that this brand has a good image? Do you think this brand has good quality? And does this brand represent good value for money? So again, looking at this chart, the spider diagram, it's a useful way of understanding what's the barrier that's helping you to grow. Again, if you click around and look at different groups of consumers, you'll see different shapes of funnels for different brands. You'll see different reasons why people aren't consuming the product. So again, very, very useful information for your marketing director, but also for other members of your management team. Now, the third area is about media. So when we looked at brand scorecards, the first part of that was talking about the percentage of people who were aware that your product existed. Now, that awareness is developed through your company's spend on media. The Shopper Mogul world provides for a number of different media channels. So you can spend money on TV, digital, point of purchase, events, or press, or getting your product into the news. Now, the 2 bits of information you've got available to you here are on the left, where are different types of consumers getting their information. And we can see that for each of our different channels, which percentage of, or how many shoppers of different types are getting their information through this channel. So in this case, TV is the largest single channel that people are getting their information in, but a very different mix of which consumers are getting their information where. On the right, we have information about how much money companies are spending on the different media channels. Now, the amount of money that the company spends on media is a decision that they make on a monthly basis. So this chart will change as the game goes on, but we can see for every brand in the market how much they're spending on getting their message out through different channels. Now, the way that awareness works in Shopper Mogul, much like the real world, is in order for people to be aware of you, you actually have to achieve cut-through. It's actually not very useful simply to show one advert once when other brands may be showing many more over many more different locations. So to get cut through, it's really important that you actually seek to be one of the main communicating brands within the media type that you're focusing on. So the 4th area that we're going to look at is shopper segmentation. Now, just as we looked at consumer segmentation and saw a breakdown of demand against style and quality, for shoppers, we're looking at a breakdown of where demand is against the different pack formats that are available in the game. Now, packs in Shopper Mogul are all sold at somewhere between a 1-pack and a 10-pack. Now, obviously, different types of shoppers shopping in different outlets for different reasons will have different sizes that are actually appealing to them. Now, we break this down into what we call shopper missions. So within this game, again, there are 4 different shopper missions that are active, and each of these you can see on this chart above in terms of what's the minimum pack size that people would choose for this mission, and what's the maximum size. So the simplest one here, social purchase, we see people will always buy a 1-pack when they're out for a social purchase. That's what they're looking for. If you're out in a restaurant or in a bar, you're generally not going to ask for a multi-pack purchase. So actually all social purchases in this game are 1-packs. Most other areas are a little bit more spread out in the demand. Over on the right, what we see against this is the breakdown of the packs that are currently in the market. So for each of the different brands, we can see a bubble for each of their packs. Now, many of these, you'll see here, there are two different purple bubbles. That's because Ice Light is being sold in two different formats. There's both a 1-pack and a 6-pack. Again, the size of the bubble gives you an idea of what percentage of revenue each of these packs is actually delivering within the market. Again, all of these charts you can break down by category. So if I'm only interested in beer, I can restrict to beer and just see the demand that's coming from those products. Now, the price that you're seeing here, certainly for the 6-pack, that's not the price of the pack. That's the price of a single unit from the pack. So in this case, the Ice Light is being sold at, what, $3.50 per unit. So for a 6-pack, that would be, so what's that, 3.5 times 6, about $21 for the pack. If you wanted to check the exact price, you can go to the shop page in the World segment and see exactly what they're charging. But really, consumers tend to expect larger pack sizes to be cheaper, and that kind of fits with this curve that we're seeing here. Again, this is the sort of chart that in the real world, consumer goods managers spend a lot of time looking at, trying to identify where's the white space on this, where can I offer something that's not currently on the market, or at least where's the real demand? What products has somebody else launched that's generating a lot of demand? How can I copy that or make something even better? So what else have we got? We also have, the remaining charts are all bar charts instead of bubble charts. And these are ones which are breaking down demand against different types of information. So we've got category, retailer, and competitor insights. So the category data, the two things you've got here is a breakdown of which type of consumer. So when we did the consumer segmentation, we saw the 4 different consumer types. Well, here we can see what categories each of those consumer types is purchasing. So again, we can see in the game, at least at this stage, survivors are the largest single consumer segment, but very different mix of products for different consumers. And just as a health check, the reason that they're purchasing this mix will have something to do with their inherent preferences, but it may also have something to do with the offerings in the game. So the fact that no hipsters are drinking wine, it may just be that there's no wine in the market that appeals to hipsters. So over on the right, we can see the breakdown by retailer of which categories are being sold where. Now again, for your sales director, it's critical that he is investing his trade marketing budget in the right retailers to get the right products in the right place. So it's pretty important to know, which categories are relevant in different places, as well as to know overall which retailers represent the largest opportunity. So retailer insights, the information we've got here is really looking at the different shopper missions and which retailers they're going to. So if you recall from the shopper segmentation, we identified 4 different missions that are driving people to the shop. Now what we can see is that for each of these missions, this chart gives you an idea, first of all, of how important the different missions are overall, and secondly, which retailers are most important. So if you're trying to decide, which pack should I prioritize in this store, this is helping you to understand, okay, the products that you've made for pantry loading are going to be most relevant in Walmart and Kroger. Again, on the right, a breakdown of the retailers against what products they're actually selling. The final area you can get, and this is really important, not just to understanding how the market's working, but actually also in order to understand whether you're succeeding or not, is the breakdown of demand against products from different suppliers. So on the left, we get information about what market share each of the different producers is getting in each of the different categories. So we can see in this case that actually only one company is making any sales in the wine segment at the start of the game. Over on the right, we get a similar breakdown against retailers. So we can see that Funky Monk are by far and away the largest supplier to Kroger, who are the largest retailer in the game. But in many other shops, they're not. They're really only winning in that retailer. So it gives you an idea of what's most important to different players, whether that's to help you think about where you need to target, or to think about, if you're trying to hurt your competition, what's the most important place to go and hit them. So that's a full breakdown of the information that's available to you. Obviously, all of this information is insightful to everybody, but some of it is more important for certain people. If you're the marketing director, you should spend a lot of time focused on consumer segmentation, brand scorecards, media insights. If you're the CEO, you're probably focused on competitor insights. These ones on the right, looking at the overall performance. How can you make sure the rest of your team are working in the right place? If you're the pricing director, it's probably the shopper segmentation that's your single biggest area. And if you're the sales director, frankly, quite a few of these are important. Consumer segmentation, shopper segmentation, retailer insights. So whichever role you're in, it's worth spending a bit of time to familiarize yourself with this data and really thinking about how can I use this to prioritize my investments, whether it's in creating or positioning your brands, having the right products, building the awareness through the right media channels, how you're spending your trade marketing budget to get your products available on the shelves, or as the finance director, potentially even looking at, are there any categories that I just want to get out of? I want to sell my brands. Or I think that there would be significant benefit in eliminating overlap through acquisition. So I hope that was helpful, and I wish you good luck with the rest of your play. So thank you very much.